do our national anthem. Pledge of Allegiance, I apologize. Everybody stand, your hand over your heart. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Give it up for Richard Ford.
Going through the Pacific Theater full of World War II vets. I sent Bill on the cruise, and we produced this video called In the Company of Heroes. Interviewed these guys at Guam, at Iwo Jima. A lot of the still pictures were their pictures. Mm-hmm. No offense, guys that looked like Tyrone Power at one time, and all of a sudden now we're a little dumpy and portly. But when I got done with it, we've won some awards with it, but the Standard Examiner interviewed me, and they said, "Why did you fund this?" And I said, "I think the kids today need to know the price that was paid to give them the right to bring the flag."
Right.
Very impassioned to what I believe in. I've lived the American dream myself. I have a joke. I always tell everybody I would have been in World War II. I heard Pearl Harbor got bombed. I thought it was a girl, but my generation has lived through a lot of it. We've lived through all the music changes. I started with big band, went through the rock and roll and the stuff that they call music today. But what I do now is I produce videos. My first one was called Hymn to America. I did it with Lex Diaz-Avedos. Mm-hmm. We did one called Stand Up right after September 11th. And we spent a lot of time trying to do what we're doing today. When we started this 14 years ago, Ogden didn't have a 4th of July celebration for 30 years. It was always Pioneer Days. Yeah. It was never this. And I gambled financially for 3 years, and cost me a lot of money to build it up, but this event functions on its own right now. Yeah. But we've canned it. This is an event of the people, by the people, for the people. The city doesn't pay for anything. It's sponsored financially by businesses, but there's 500 people here volunteering to give up their holiday, and what we do is we donate $10 an hour for every volunteer hour to the organization they want to raise money for.
Right.
And I believe that's what America's all about.
That's right.
My dad was in World War II, and he told me a lot of the stories, but for the most part, Bill, I think we interviewed about 400 World War II vets in a project we call the Pacific Theater Project. And for the most part, here's what's going to get tough for you, okay? Most of them don't want to talk about it. It's really kind of prying the stories out of them, and it's a shame because it is significant what happened. And I just realized something. I was watching Charles Krautheimer a couple months ago, and he said one of the reasons America is what it is today is because in World War II we were the only country left whole. Every other country had to build. They were bombed out. We were left whole.
Yes.
And that's why we were able to pull off what we did, because everybody needed us to create and produce what we created and produced.
Yeah.
So that's all me. I'm from New York, so I have a tendency to talk too much.
No.
How about sharing with us some of your stories and what this is all about to you?
Well, I was on the landing of a Corregidor. I landed in Mindanao and Leyte in the Philippine Islands. I was sent to Japan on occupation after the bomb was dropped down there. And I went in the service when I was 18 years old. I was one of the youngest ones. I was in the tank destroyers for a year and a half. They sent us to Europe, over to Fort Meade to go to Europe. We didn't. We come back and they put me in the 28th Pineapple Division, 34th Infantry. And they give me a BAR, so that's your baby, take care of it. So when we went overseas, we went to Australia, then we went from there, we went into the islands and in Corregidor. I served a couple of months with the Morals there in the Philippine Islands, and they didn't believe in Christianity. For every Japanese head, we used to give them a pack of cigarettes. I have pictures of that.
Well, I scuba dive, and I scuba dived on the island of Peleliu,
Yeah.
which was the bloodiest battle there was. But I remember we went scuba diving in a lake, it's called, there's a lake, you hike into it, and it's full of jellyfish. But because it's the only thing there, they don't sting, they have no sting. But here I am climbing into this thing, through this jungle, in shorts and sneakers, and I'm saying to myself, wow, the guys that did this with full battle gear,
Yeah.
unreal.
And the humidity over there.
Yeah, unreal. But
Yeah.
the thing is, they had a little museum there which was full of relics, rusty relics. They love us.
Yeah.
Because they were slaves of the Japanese
yeah.
until we got there. They just loved us. It
The
was-
Japanese had all their own money in the islands,
Yeah.
printed their own money over there. Yeah.
So when I scuba dived, we were able to dive a lot of World War II Japanese converted freighters. Again, history. The difference now is as good as bad, except for September 11th. Kids today just don't know.
No.
They just
no,
don't
no,
know.
no.
And I had the pleasure last year of being flown by the National Guard down to St. George in a Black Hawk. And I was there, and the guy at the guard station, they took me into one of the howitzers, which looked like tanks. And the technical aspect of war today, it's like the guy says, if I have the right guy at 18 miles, tell me what window you want me to put the shell through. Blew my mind, just
Yeah.
blew my mind. And that's why you don't see as many ground troops as you used to before,
Yeah.
because we can just do such much more with.
I used to drive those 35-ton tanks.
Yeah.
Airplane motors in them,
Unreal.
35 miles an hour,
Yeah, my humor was a couple years ago, I was doing stuff with a bird colonel at the base, and I got to fly the F-16 simulator. I only crashed 3 times, but I got an appreciation for what those guys do. I mean, the stick don't move, it's all pressure
Yeah,
sensitive,
yeah.
it's unreal.
Yeah.
Well, we're just glad to have you here today,
I'm glad to be here.
and hope you enjoy the day. This is a unique event, the way it was created, how it's been nurtured, how it's come to where it is today. And the thing I'm proudest of is when I first did this, I was with Matthew Godfrey, and he asked me what I wanted the city to do this event. And I said nothing, because if you do something, then you're going to tell me what to do, and I don't
Yeah,
listen
yeah,
to many
yeah.
people. But
Too many.
there's no tax dollars behind this event. This is all done with private money,
Yeah.
and I really believe that's the way it should be.
That's right. And you're not obligated to anybody.
That's right. And Pioneer Days used to be run by the city, but now that's a private foundation
right.
also. And I think that's why things become successful, because we have all these charities, 500 volunteers that have ownership of this. This is their event.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's what made this country great, pride of ownership.
Yeah.
It's mine.
Yeah. Not
Thank
the
you.
government.
That's right. Thank you.
You bet.